Well, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending where you are. This is our very first CIAIRI mini talk. And today I'm going to be talking to Ali and Andy about computer vision. So computer vision in AI is quite an amazing new technology that can really transform our society with safer industries, roads and constructions. And as we use computer vision, as we move from it being a mere surveillance tool to an assistive technology, we're building autonomous systems that will take action while using deep learning to understand the consequences of these acts. So today we're going to find out the kind of things that Ali's been doing, how he's got ethical approval to wash cows, and how the cattle industry is using computer vision as well. Andy is going to talk a little bit about how we're going to go beyond surveillance to create better outcomes in our cities and roads. So Ali, tell us, what do you do at RMIT?
I'm running an intelligent automation research group, and we're particularly interested in taking automation from the past century, when it was just dealing with man-made objects, to natural and varied objects. And natural objects have a lot of different colors and attributes and shapes and things that machine found it difficult to deal with them automatically. So we use computer vision to give machine ability to deal with natural objects as they are. And this is the primary goal of what we do at the Intelligent Automation Research Group.
Cool. And what kind of things have you been doing with computer vision? Have you used it to improve safety?
Yeah, I mean, safety has been one of the major things that we worked on for many years. We were trying to make interactions between slow-moving platforms like forklifts and buggies and electric carts and things that are used in a lot of industrial warehouses like fruit markets and things safer, because there are always going to be people around these machines. And in Victoria, a fair number of people have been injured by forklifts over the last 20, 30 years. There's been plenty of incidents, and unfortunately some quite fatal. So making these slow moving platforms more cognizant of the humans that are around them, and give forklift drivers better technology in terms of assisting them in being safer around people. That's been a major project that we've done in terms of safety. We developed a lot of smart cameras that can actually interact with the forklift drivers and assist them in that regard.
Wow. And does it provide a warning system, or how does it make it safer for people in the warehouse?
It's about warning. You see, you can't just rely on the fact that, okay, if there is a person near the forklift, it's dangerous. No, well, then in this case, you always think that, it's dangerous. So it's about basically finding the nuances of danger in the operation between a person and a forklift, right? And we tried quite worked for this sort of understanding what caused an accident and what doesn't. It's not just a mere existence of a person near a forklift that is a problem. There's always going to be people, in a market, right? Forklifts and people are all intertwined. Always they are, they're cross-passing. But there are nuances that should not happen, and there are things which are quite normal. So understanding those particular nuances of danger is what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I think that sounds really important, and like something that we all need in our industry. Like I've heard that, in places like Bunnings Warehouse, for example, there's a lot of accidents with boxes and items, and to have a warning system for that would be kind of amazing. And you've got one working, Ali.
Yes, yeah, we developed a number of prototypes that for that sort of situations, and there are lots of different places that have different nuances of risk involved. In a warehouse is one thing, in a market is another. Market is full of people with machines, but they can never be separated.
I think that's amazing to make those places safer. It is sensational, because you can imagine the kind of chaos in a market, fresh food market, and being able to make sure that there's no collisions. That's just amazing that we're thinking about that. Um, Ali, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about the kind of work you've done in visual inspection. What happens there? Tell me this story.
One of the other areas that we work heavily in is in visual inspection, whether it's in construction site, making sure that people are wearing the right gear, or whether it's to do with, particularly with the meat industry, that we've done a fair bit of work. There's a fair bit of automation packaging and automation involved packaging meat that happens. And meat is one of those natural objects that has enormous variation. So it's incredibly difficult to automate the processes involving meat. That's one side of things. The other side, which is we are really interested, is to ensuring animal welfare and trying to actually limit the interaction between people and animal when they are processed. You see, if there is any cruelty involved, it involves human making those actions, right? Machines, they don't get angry, they don't get cranky, they don't do anything unexpected. So by limiting the interactions between people and animals, we can ensure that a level of welfare is maintained. So this is an area, whether this is for cattle export or whether it's for meat processing, this is an area that I think animal welfare can benefit from this. And we have worked, for instance, in one instance, in trying to automate the washing of cattle pre-slaughter. And we actually worked on a very large project that looked into making this. All cattle before processed, they are washed with potable water. And that's a very expensive commodity, and it's a very, it's an issue of sustainability involved in this. And you want to minimize the amount of potable waters that are used in washing cattle. And then there are lots of other considerations. If a cow is dagged, you probably wouldn't want to wash this because it actually spreads the bacterial and infections that might be inside this. So there are a lot of considerations that a person cannot take into account, but the machines are very good at these sort of things. So this is an area we worked on, and we are actually working on a number of avenues for looking into animal welfare and how we can ensure that the animal welfare standards are adhered to in all of the interactions that people have with cattle, in processing, being in export, live animal export, or in the meat processing.
Wow, it's amazing. I love the way you put that angle around it, that it is about maintaining the quality of life of animals. And I think that's amazing that if we can use AI and computer vision to do that and to improve that process, that's just a wonderful concept. And I hope you get to put it into real live scenarios. But Andy, so you're into computer vision as well. What do you think? How will computer vision have an impact on our society, and what are some of the things that that you're seeing the possibilities of computer vision can do?
Yes, we have been developing different machine learning techniques for vision applications, especially in smart city settings. So smart city. When people talk about a computer vision, so people naturally will think about video surveillance, but actually the benefits of computer vision is go way beyond that. It can help managing the traffic, and it can assist urban environment management. For example, try to estimate the size of pedestrian flow, and try to detecting overcrowded areas, especially in now the COVID setting. You try to avoid large crowd and maintaining social distancing. And also it can be used for reporting abnormal events what happened in the urban environment. Either it will be the traffic problem, the traffic accident, or maybe just something, for example, like an earthquake. So that can be detected from visual sensors, which is the camera. Yeah. So that's lots of things that can be done and still need to be done, and also that's lots of challenges need to be addressed.
Yeah, I find this really fascinating, Ali and Andy, that, you're focusing more on the deep learning platforms that can do the recognitions, and Ali's kind of trying to find the places where you need all those deep learning platforms to kind of create these safer environments. And the challenges are real. Like I having done work in computer vision myself, I think the challenge can sometimes relate to facial recognition and the fears that we have as a society in terms of not wanting to be recognized. Andy, what have you experienced in that whole facial recognition world?
Yeah, and in general, normal computer vision and the facial recognition, and this will have a serious concern regarding privacy. So there are a group of researchers that are doing specific techniques, try to de-identify person, and so can still gathering useful information with little or even no privacy violation. So that's one. And also there are certain techniques. So for example, like a federated learning. So we try to learn without actually grabbing the actual data, without tap into the database itself. So that techniques actually can help to address this privacy concern. And another concern is actually computing power. So that's actually two faults. And one fault is when we know if the current machine vision techniques actually rely on deep learning, which is computationally expensive. So we require quite a large number of GPU power to crunch the number and to get the model. But on the other hand, during the application, the device this model will be deployed on usually has very limited resources. For example, a normal onboard computer, or like a control box, or even a phone. Then how to actually make this model smaller and run faster is also another challenge for computer vision and facial recognition. Yeah.
So it is about bringing that model to the edge, kind of thing.
Yes,
so
exactly. Edge devices.
So that the processing happens at the edge, and the kind of data. It's not all about sending lots of computer vision data to the cloud.
Exactly.
It's actually more about sending the knowledge and the information.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes,
cool.
Onboard computing.
Yeah. And Ali, being in engineering, have you done a lot of that kind of edge stuff as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we do as well. One of the scenarios that we're actually looking at right now is, if you are thinking about live cattle export, you cannot send data from the middle of the ocean, when the cattle are on the ships to the cloud. So it's all has to be done on the edge, computers, on board. And the issue of actually computing becomes very important, given that the communication channels are very limited and quite expensive. So these issues are, these are very, very real issues in terms of doing the engineering work. Lots of the animal processing plants, feedlots and things, which we would like to deploy this sort of technologies, they are usually far away from, communication bases and computation resources. So you want to be able to minimize the computation and do them quite locally.
Cool. Okay, and so I think we've talked a lot about the kind of applications, not just in cities and people, but traffic, as well as being able to support a specific industry, the cattle industry. Maybe just to close off, what do you think is other industries that could really use computer vision to enhance? I know that at CIAIRI we've done a lot of work with CT scans and to better identify the detail. Andy, did you want to add anything around that project where we used CT scans and what we were able to do?
Yeah, so in the medical science, it's computer vision is certainly a great tool to automatically detecting diseases. And the one thing I would like to add is actually agriculture. I'll see there's a huge application area for agriculture, so to managing the field and try to, for example, detecting different kind of diseases and try to assess the status of the field and try to manage the crop. And there's so many things that can be done. It's a huge area that's largely still unexplored, as I can see.
Yeah, I think I was involved in some experimental work using the Healthy Country AI, which was about using drone computer vision to be able to identify habitats and challenges around species detection as well as species protection. So but imagine it in agriculture as well, to identify the quality of your crop or those kind of arenas. What about you, Ali? Where do you see as these kind of new areas of computer vision?
I think it's quite ubiquitous. It goes to almost all industries. Construction is the largest industry in Victoria, and I can see that there are enormous scope for using computer vision in construction. From safety perspective, from building time lapses to managing the workloads. Maintaining. Everyone wants to know the progress and generating progress reports and all of those sort of things that the construction industry is very interested in knowing them. Say by the minute and every day kind of thing.
And imagine bringing some of that stuff you were talking about, like about the safety in the markets and a kind of using those kind of safety techniques in a construction industry where there's also a lot of accidents as well. So there's really lots of applications in that space. Okay, well, thank you so much for being part of our first mini talks. I hope if you have any questions, we'll be posting some links and some details along with this particular talk. But we look forward to delivering a heap more, and thank you very much. And thank you, Andy, and thank you, Ali.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.